Jeff, the host of the Gridiron.
All right. Welcome to the Gridiron, baby. If you can give this video a thumbs up or maybe share this video, that would be absolutely freaking phenomenal. If you subscribe to my channel, thank you. If not, please go down below, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell icon. That way next time I go live or if I put a video out, you'll be notified. And it's free of charge. It's totally free of charge. What do you got to lose, right? But if you are subscribed to my channel, thank you. If you want to help support my channel, description box below is like the very top link. The link, it takes you to my membership page. I got 3 different membership levels. Each one has their own little perks to them. So once again, if you want to help support my channel, it would mean so much to me. And I thank you in advance. Thank you. And then finally, just underneath that, there's another link. It takes you to my Facebook group. It's called the New York Giants, the Gridiron. It's my Facebook group. We have over 9,500 members in the group. It's doing simply marvelous, might I add. Basically, if I'm alive and breathing and if I got internet access, I'm putting stuff in this group darn near 365. It's called the New York Giants, the Gridiron. It's my Facebook group. Please join it. You will not be dissatisfied. I promise. Well, I'll tell you, I mean, kind of, well, I don't know. You look at it and you think about it, and a little shocking, especially at this point in the season. But I guess if you start looking at how Cousins has performed over the past, 4 or 5 games or so, he hasn't been really super spectacular, shall we say. He's, he's getting paid a lot of money, and he's not really. We look at some of his games here that Cousins had of late. And last night, against the Raiders, they put up a grand total for 15 points. But 2 of that was on a safety. I didn't watch the game. I was following on my phone. But that'd be a brutal game. Just absolute brutal game. But let's see here. The Falcons here. Now let's say against the Raiders, right? They had a grand total of 93 yards passing. Let's go to the box score, shall we? Let's go to the box score. So Cousins, let's see. It was just not a super spectacular game. Cousins had a 30-yard touchdown pass to Drake London, and that was pretty much it. But you also look. Let's see. They did a lot of running, but they had 261 total yards of offense. They had 112 yards passing. They were 11 out of 17 for 112 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. It was just not a super spectacular game. For Kirk Cousins. Let's go to. I think it's like the last 5 games that we're talking about. It's just not been very, very good. Then they got blown out by the Vikings. Yeah. Well, actually, if you look at it, it was actually 21-21 going into the fourth quarter. The Vikings scored 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. The Falcons didn't score anything. Let's see. They had Jordan Addison caught 2 touchdown passes, and then Aaron Jones had a 15-yard touchdown run for the Vikings in the last quarter of that game. But it was 21-21 going into the final quarter. But Atlanta, once again, Kirk Cousins, no touchdown passes, 2 interceptions. So in the last 2 games, he had, what would that be? 1 touchdown pass, 3 interceptions. He had 344 yards passing. He was 23 out of 37. They had almost 500 yards of offense, so I mean, 344, got sacked one time, but he was not able to throw a touchdown pass. So the last two games, let's just add this up. It was just, they were talking about this. It was a couple articles here, but they were talking to Cousins. Let's see here. All right, then they lost a tough one to the Chargers. That's a tough one, 17-13. But once again, they only scored 13 points, and no touchdown passes from Cousins. So what did he have here? He threw 4 interceptions. So he's had 1 touchdown in the last 3 games, 1 touchdown and 7 interceptions. Cousins was 24-39, 245 yards, 4 interceptions. So I said in the last 3 games, he's had 1 touchdown, 7 interceptions. Let's go to the game before that. Then they got blown out by the Falcons, 38-6. I mean, my goodness. All right, so let's see. Cousins here. So there was 1-7. Cousins, no touchdowns, 1 interception, 1-8. He was 18 out of 27, 173 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. So in the past 4 games, 1 touchdown, 8 interceptions. And then let's go to the previous game here. This one here. Against the Saints, they lost 20-17. Another tough one. 20-17. They were losing 20-17 going into the final quarter, and they couldn't score any points against the Saints. Really don't have the greatest defense in the world. Once again, he had no touchdown passes, Kirk Cousins, and 1 interception. So in the last 5 games, he's had 1 touchdown, 9 interceptions. Last 5 games. I said again, but against the Saints, 23 out of 38, 306 yards. No, I mean, But, so you also look at it too, right? I mean, I'm not exactly sure what the heck's going on with them. So he had 1-8. So let's see. So they played 14 games. So in the last 5 games, 1-9, 1 touchdown, and 9 interceptions. So that would make the first 9 games Kirk Cousins had. First 9 games. Kirk Cousins had 17 interceptions. 17 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. So he went from 17-7. Still, the 7's still a little heavy. 7 interceptions in the 9 games is still a little on the heavy side, but you can, okay. But he's had 1 in the last 5 games, 1 touchdown and 9 interceptions. It just now Michael Penix. I mean, he came in, he played in 2 games. He threw 5 passes, completed 3 of them for 38 yards, no touchdowns, and no interceptions. And those 3 completions, all 3 of them led to a first down. Right, but once again, it's just small sample. Now, Cousins has got Drake London, Darnell Mooney, Bijan Robinson, Ray McLeod, Algier, Kyle Pitts. Right, so I mean, he's got some guys. I mean, Pitts has 40 receptions. McLeod's got 54. Mooney's got 57. Drake London's got 78. And Robinson's got 54. So, he's been, I mean, Pitts is 536 yards. McLeod's 588. Mooney 873. 873. London is on his way to over 1,000 yards. He has 919. And Robinson is 411 yards receiving. So, he's getting... he has 3,500 yards passing, right? So, but it's just the pass, whatever happened. He's completing 66.9% of his passes on the season, 18 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. But for whatever the reason is, I don't know because I'm not following them. Don't know. So we're going to be going against Michael Penix on Sunday when the Giants take on the Falcons. So it's kind of little, I don't know exactly what the Falcons' chances are of making the playoffs or whatever because they're 7-7, right? But I mean, it has a little kind of like the Flavor Flav of the 2004 season with the Giants were 5-4. Actually, the Giants were 5-2 at one point. They lost 2 games. They were 5-4. 5-4. You got a chance at the playoffs. You got a future Hall of Fame, Kurt Warner. Not exactly lighting it up, shall we say? And one of the things I think it was Monty Toomer said, of Kurt Warner, I get it was maybe one of the games early on. I get obviously one of the first 9 games of the season. I don't know if there was a point in the time where maybe it was just before halftime or something like that. The Giants, I guess, had the ball. I don't know, because maybe around midfield or the 40-yard line or something like that of the opponents. And somebody brought up about maybe kind of throwing a Hail Mary into the end zone. Maybe just throw a Hail Mary into the end zone. I mean, what do you say, Kurt? Just throw it in there, right? Maybe we come up. Maybe we get the ball. Maybe we get a touchdown, right? Maybe we put some points on the board for the team. Right? What do you say, Kurt? What do you say? What do you say, Bucko, huh? Kurt's like, no, man, I can't be doing that. I might throw an interception. That'd hurt my numbers. It's like, dude, are you kidding me? So, that was one of the things I think that kind of, what was, I guess, irritating Coughlin a little bit, was, Warner. So maybe not always being kind of like a team player. It's kind of like, man, my numbers can't hurt my numbers. If we win, we lose. All right. If we lose, I can deal with that. I can handle that. I'm a big man. You know what I mean? It'll hurt. Well, I'll get over it. But, man, if I throw an interception, if they want me just to throw in the end zone, I might come up with hurt my numbers. I can't deal with that. Dude, are you kidding me? And Toomer didn't want to name names, but he said it was a Hall of Famer. So, he wasn't talking about Eli either. Okay, so that was the only quarterback. That was the only Hall of Fame quarterback that Toomer played with, right? So, but I mean, I said in the 2004 season, I said the Giants were 5-4. We got 7 games left. Well, in the playoff hunt, without question, they pulled the plug. They pulled Warner out, threw in Eli. Right, as they say, the rest is history. So we're going to be facing 7-7. Let's see what is. What the heck? Let's look here. NFL. Let's see. NFL standings. All right, National Football League here. Okay, so we got. Yeah, they're only 1 game behind the Bucs. It looks like the Saints are pretty much out of it. They're 5-9. And the Panthers obviously 3-11. But the Falcons are 7-7, and the Buccaneers are 8-6. The Falcons have a chance. I don't really think they have a chance of making the wild card because you got the Commanders are 9-5, the Eagles are 12-2, the Rams are 8-6, Seahawks are 8-6, Lions got 12 wins, Vikings got 12 wins, Packers got 10 wins. So Falcons, I don't think ain't getting no wild card. Okay. But they still got a chance at winning the division, right? The Buccaneers. Let's see who the Buccaneers got here. Buccaneers, final 3 games. Got to play the Cowboys. Then they got to play the Panthers, and then they got to play the Saints. So the Buccaneers, that's not a terrifically tough schedule, shall we say? But the 1 game is in Dallas. Who knows? It's a Sunday night game, apparently, unless they flex out of it, I guess. I don't know. But what we got, then they're playing. Then they got home against the Panthers. That's quite possibly a win, but you still have to play the games. And then they're playing at home against the Saints. So they're playing basically against the Bucs, three teams that do not have a winning record. So let's go to the Falcons. Who do the Falcons got to play? Obviously the Giants. So that's, you can almost just don't even bother playing that one. Just chalk that one up as a W, right? But the Falcons got to play the Giants, and they got to play the Panthers. They're playing the Giants at home. They're playing the Panthers at home. You can almost, I don't want to say chalk them up. I mean, that's two really possible wins. The one tough one would be the following week, the game after Christmas. They're playing on the road against Washington, those Commanders. So that could be a real tough one. But still, anything's possible. You got to play the games, right? But they're pulling the plug, and they're putting Penix in there. And so going to be interesting to see after this season's over, right, what they wind up doing with Cousins going forward. I mean, because they signed him. It was like $180 million. I got to read a couple articles here. But, man, pulling the plug on him. All right, what do we got there? Woo, Michael Penix Jr. named Falcons quarterback number 1. Amid Kirk Cousins' struggles. Falcons have made a quarterback change amidst the Kirk Cousins struggles over the past 5 games, promoting rookie first-round pick Michael Penix to the starting position. After review, we have made the decision Penix Jr. will be the Atlanta Falcons starting quarterback moving forward, said Raheem Morris. This was a football decision, and we are fully focused on preparing the team for Sunday's game against the Giants. The move doesn't come as much of a surprise. Cousins, 36, has been dreadful over the past month, as I brought up. One touchdown, the past 5 games, 1 touchdown pass. Sounds like the Giants, right? And 9 interceptions. I mean, he's getting some yards and all, but right? The Falcons are just 1-4 in those contests and nearly lost their 5th straight game on Monday. When when you need a safety, you have to block 39 punts. Oh my God! The Raiders are absolutely freaking putrid. I mean, you think the Giants are bad, the Raiders are just as dreadful, and you barely beat them, right? Escaping with a 15-9 win when Jesse Bates II intercepted a pass in the end zone on the final play of the game, so they almost lost that game. I mean, whew. Falcons basically abandoning the pass on their 1st and 10 last night. Told you what the organization thought of Cousins' situation. They're going to end up paying $85 million or so for about 10 pretty good starts from Cousins, which is a disaster. So it's $85 million. Falcons threw the ball just once on 1st down against the Raiders last night. 1 time. Now, you go back 50 years ago when I first started watching football, you run the ball on 1st down, especially with the Giants. They'd run on 1st, run on 2nd, throw on 3rd, or they would run on 1st, throw on 2nd, and maybe have to throw on 3rd because it would be 3rd down and 37 or something. You know what I mean? But 50 years ago, you're running the ball on 1st down, a lot of teams, right? Not nowadays, right? Nowadays, it's more or less like the pass sets up the run. But when they only threw the ball the whole game 1 time on 1st down, and there's also this, too. The Falcons threw the ball just once on 1st down against the Raiders last night. 1 time on 1st down. It was when Kirk Cousins threw an interception to Robert Spillane with 14:52 left in the 3rd quarter. That was absolutely the last straw. Right. Kirk left Raheem no choice, no idea with Cousins' contract, and you rather not go to a rook with the division title still winnable. Again, though, Kirk left Raheem no choice. So, it's going to be very interesting. Final 3 games of the season for the Falcons and for the Buccaneers. Right. I don't know offhand. I don't know how it would work out. But if the Bucs were to falter and to lose one of those very winnable games, and the Falcons were to win all three of their final games, it'd be a tough one against the Commanders, and they would wind up tied. So they would be both be 10-7, right? I don't know if the Falcons, it all depends upon the division record, head to head, and all that stuff. So I don't know who would wind up coming out victorious there. But I mean, the division's on the line, and they're pulling the plug on Cousins. It just goes to show you in that these articles here. I mean, he's just been dreadful the past 5 games, paying the guy all that money for nothing. Let's see here. The Falcons are 7-7 and making a switch at the quarterback position, replacing Kirk Cousins with Michael Penix Jr. as the starting quarterback in Week 16, according to a statement sent out by the team on Tuesday night. After review, we have made the decision Michael Penix will be the Falcons' starting quarterback moving forward, said Coach Raheem Morris. This was a football decision. Let's see here. This news comes after Morris was questioned about the quarterback situation in Atlanta on Tuesday afternoon. He reiterated that the Falcons need more from the quarterback position. Though the Falcons beat the Raiders on Monday Night Football, the offensive performance or the performance was rather offensive, shall we say, and the lack of production overshadowed the 15-9 win that snapped the 4-game losing streak for the organization. Well, basically, they beat pretty much the worst team in football. Barely. Atlanta never made it to the end zone despite successful field position to begin a handful of drives. As an offense, the Falcons have struggled in the last month to score points, and the conversation around Cousins' role in that efficiency has only grown since the end of October, when he led the league in passing yards. So, I mean, they were whatever they were. They were what? 6-3, I guess, at one point. Now they're 7-7. Right. Exiting Week 15, Cousins led the league in interceptions with 16. For context, 9 of those interceptions came in the last 5 games. During the same time, Cousins has only thrown 1 touchdown pass, and the Falcons have only won 1 game. We didn't play particularly well at the quarterback position, Morris said Tuesday afternoon. We didn't play well Monday at that spot. I like to be open and honest about those things. It's always going to be those question marks. It's always going to be those question marks when it comes to head coach, when it comes to the quarterback. And you got to be really transparent about it. We got to play better. I think that's the thing that's got to be put out there. That we got to play better, and that's the thing that's got to be addressed. This thing's got to happen in order for us to find ways to win versus our next opponent, which is the New York Giants. So, let's see. They signed him to a 4-year, $180 million contract in March. This wasn't the original plan. The Falcons will look now to, obviously, for the number 1 overall pick, Penix, to take over on the offense. The plan was to have Cousins as the starter now and Penix as the starter of the future. After the issues the organization faced at the quarterback position when it traded Matt Ryan to the Colts in 2022, the Falcons were not willing to return to quarterback carousel the years that followed. They wanted and needed stability at the position, so they brought in Cousins in free agency and drafted Penix 2 months later in the first round of the 2024 draft. So, obviously, hopefully Penix works out for them, for their sake, right? And they have their quarterback of the future. I mean, what they kind of did, right? They brought in Cousins, so they got themselves a quarterback, and then they went out, and Penix kind of fell into their laps. They drafted Penix, and don't know exactly what the quarterback situation is as far as with money or whatever like that. I didn't look it up or what. I mean, if there was, say, let Cousins go after this season, I mean, he would be an expensive person to have on, as a backup. I don't know what the dead money is. They will let Cousins go after the season's over with or whatever. But so the Giants will be facing against Mr. Penn. So if you ever get that Trivial Pursuit question and card flips over, Who was Michael Penix's first career NFL start against? Well, it would be the New York Football Giants. So we'll have to wait and see how things go. It'll be very, very interesting. But the Kirk Cousins time in Atlanta is no mas. So I mean, 4 years, $180 million. I mean, we got $45 million a year. The last 5 games, 1 touchdown, 9 interceptions. And I said they barely beat. Pretty much, you can almost say, literally, almost, that the Raiders are the worst team in football. I mean, that they just. I mean, they've lost quarterbacks as well too. Crosby's out for the season, so yeah. I mean, but they're just straight up trash. Straight up trash. Right. All right. Well, then I seen this here. The hiring of Shane cost us getting Harbaugh. Interesting. Because you kind of knew that, like with Shane, right? Well, obviously weren't working out. It's kind of like the package deal, shall we say, right? Because Shane came in, and of course he wanted to bring a Dable with him, right? And at the time, a lot of us were very, very happy. Now, let's not forget. The roster was in a shambles, right? Our cap situation was just ungodly. We couldn't even afford to keep Bradbury around. We could have done probably what the Eagles what the Eagles do. That's why they built such a good team, bringing all these stars in and just writing them up for whatever they want. What do you want? Take one. Okay, yeah, we'll give you that. Yeah, we'll just put 312 void years on the end of your contract, so we'll just pay you, hundreds of years down the road. We'll keep paying, yeah, come on in, So, when Shane came in, he didn't want to do that because he didn't want to just keep bringing these guys in and paying them. So, so at the way a lot of GMs go by, they're over the cap, right? So you got to let somebody go. That's not the Eagle way. That's why they have such a good team. But most teams, so we were in cap hell. So instead of just restructuring a lot of guys' contracts and just putting void years on the end of everything and just pushing all the money down the road and all that, and how to let Bradbury go. So we were, cap hell, whatever you want to call it. The roster had a lot of holes to it, not a lot of depth, right? And then you go out and you go 9-7-1, and you win a playoff game. It's like, you'd have to admit, of course, there'll always be people out there, regardless. Oh, I knew it wasn't going to last. I knew we were gonna stink after. I didn't say we were going to go to the Super Bowl, but I had a little optimism going. I must admit, I drank the Kool-Aid, right? So you go 9-7-1 with not a phenomenal roster, cap, and all that stuff and everything, and you go to the playoffs and win a playoff game, and even had Daniel Jones looking good and everything, right? But of course, since then, obviously, things have not quite been so well. And meanwhile, Harbaugh come in, and they lost their last 2, right? The Chargers, but they said they're 8-6, but I think they were 5-12 last year. I gotta find it here. So where are we at here? Falcons is the Chargers. There we go. Los Angeles Chargers. So they're 8-6 this year. Last year, they're 5. Last year they're 5-12. But you got to look at it. This year, obviously you got to get. That's a good division, except for the Raiders, right? But I'll tell you what, Peyton. Tell you what, man. Let's say. I'll tell you what, just for me, I'd have to give him strong considerations for the coach of the year. You look at all the other teams that have really good records and all that stuff and everything. But what Peyton's doing with the Broncos and that quarterback, a strong consideration for Coach of the Year, for me anyway. Right, so the division that the Chargers are in is, with the Chiefs, the Broncos, and the Chargers. Three really good teams. But the Chargers were at one time, they beat the Bengals. They were 7-3. Unfortunately, they lost a tough one to the Ravens. They lost by 7 points to the Ravens. Then they beat the Falcons. But then they lost, of course, once again, it's the second tough one. They lost 17-10 to the Chiefs, and then they lost 19-17 to the Chiefs. So they lost two tough games to the Chiefs. But they've lost three of the last four. One was to the Ravens, one was to the Chiefs, and the other one was to the Bucs. They got blown out by the Bucs. I don't know. The Bucs resurgence here. I don't know. Bucs put up 40 points. Wow. But they were 7-3. They're 8-6. They're playing the Broncos, the Patriots, and the Raiders. So they got 3 games left. They're 8-6. There's a good chance. I'll just throw it out there. They're playing the Broncos at home. Okay, so that'd be a tough one. And they did beat the Broncos in Denver. So then they got to play in New England. Then they got to play in against the Raiders, right? The final game of the season. So give maybe 2 more wins, maybe. So quite possibly, they might go 10-7. They were 5-12, right? Last year, 5-12, and now quite possibly this year they could be 10-7. Worst case scenario, 9-8. Out of those last 3 games, I got to give them at least 1 win. Right, between the Broncos, the Raiders, and the Patriots, I got to give them at least 1 win. So you figure no matter what, they'll have a winning record with Harbaugh there. They'll be 9-8. Worst case, the best case scenario, they win all 3. Or middle of the road, they finish 10-7. Best case scenario, they can finish 11-6. They beat 3 teams 3 winnable teams. So regardless, just for me, if you were just to say worst case scenario, for me, they would finish 9-8. So, they were 5-12 last year, and they went to 9-8. Right. Once again, give the guy another year drafting and whatever like this, get the Harbaugh away and all of that stuff. But that's a good division. That's going to be a tough division. If the Broncos can stay, right, a good contending team, of course, with Reed and Mahomes there, they'll be a top contender for years to come. But unfortunately, possibly, it looked like the Giants lost out on possibly getting Harbaugh because hiring of Joe Shane cost them Jim Harbaugh as the coach. So, you'll look at, you can also kind of, well, look what Harbaugh is doing to the Chargers, in his first year. Well, it's the same thing that what Dable did with the Giants. 9-7-1. Right, for the Giants, playoff, right? You can almost say the same thing with Harbaugh. Maybe there might be 10-7, quite possibly playoffs, maybe. So, but the one thing is that with Harbaugh, right? It's like wherever he's gone, pretty much he's been a winner. I can't remember when he was the coach of Stanford. I can't remember. They didn't have a phenomenal record, but one of the things they did though was I can't remember if they snapped USC's winning streak in college. USC with I think when Carroll was there, they were just beating. USC was really, really good. Of course, there was the Bush push right against Notre Dame, which now is the Tush push, I guess. But USC was just phenomenal. Carroll was there. Whew. And I know Stanford wound up beating them one of those years, and I think it snapped a winning streak for USC. Now, I mean, when Harbaugh was there, he didn't have Stanford 11-1 every year and going for the Rose Bowl. It wasn't like that. But he did well enough where he got a shot at San Francisco, and San Francisco, right, went to the back-to-back championships, right? They obviously the one against the Giants in 2011. Now, I can't remember the punt returner's name. He was the backup punt returner for the 49ers. If he didn't fumble the ball, I think 2 times, maybe the Giants don't win that game, but I'm glad he did. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, sweet baby Jesus, right? Giants win the Super Bowl. But, I mean, that was a heck of a game. Tough heck of a game and all and everything. But, I mean, he had the 49ers, a good team. Then the following year, they went to the Super Bowl. They lost in the lights out game against his brother, right? That's when the lights went out. I mean, are you kidding me? Anyway, but right? Then he goes to Michigan. Now, there was allegations of maybe whatever, him tampering or whatever. I don't know. I mean, if he did it, I'm sure other people did it as well too, or whatever he did. I'm sure other teams did it as well too. But he they won him a national championship, right? They're not even. I don't even know what their record is this year. It was 6-6 or maybe 7-5 or something like that or whatever. So I mean, they went from being undefeated. I think they were 15-0. I think last year with the well, let's see. Let's take a look. Let's go 2024. Michigan Wolverines. I do have to give Wink some props here because one thing. What was it? He made a comment, a jab at the Giants, and they were like 2-7, I think, at one point. He made a comment about the Giants, and then I went on made a video about him. But I tell you what, the last few games of the season, Wink's defense was doing pretty darn good. So, but let's say they were 7-5. They're I don't know. This is from Sports Reference. They're 51st out of 134 teams. So they were 7-5. So they went with Harbaugh as the coach from 15-0 to 7-5. Now, of course, they'll be in a bowl. I think what you got to do nowadays, because once again, it's all about what? It's all about the Benjamins. I think all you got to do is win a coin toss, and you're bowl eligible. You can be 0-95, and you're bowl eligible, baby. Or you got to get a first down during the course of the season or something, and everybody's bowl eligible. I'm even bowl eligible. I don't even have a team. It's called the Tampon Bowl. It's 3 days after New Year's Day. It's in Texas, El Paso, Texas. I'm just going to go down there and play against another team, the Tampon Bowl, because I'm bowl eligible. I got an electric football game and I gained a first down, so I was bowl eligible. So, but anyway, Harbaugh was 15-0 with Michigan, won them a national championship. Right now, he left, and they went from 15-0 to 7-5. Right, so not saying he's going to take the Chargers back to the Super Bowl or anything, but he's wherever he's been a winner. Right, he has been a winner. Let me see if I can pop this up here. Previous year. Let's see here. All right, Jim Harbaugh. Let's see if it pops his coaching record up here. Okay, yeah, here we go. All right, with Stanford. Okay. Oh, well, my bad. He took over Stanford in 2007, and he was 4-8. 2008, they went to 5-7. They only improved one game. 2009, they went to 8-5, and they lost in the Sun Bowl. 2010, his final year at Stanford, he was 12-1. Maybe that was the year, and they won in the Orange Bowl. And I guess they finished 4th in the nation. Let me see if that was the year. See if it pops. I don't know if it's going to pop that up or not. Let's see here. That was the year that he beat USC. Does it have their Stanford statistics? Schedule and results. Here we go. All right, let's see here. What did they beat USC here? They won 37-35. They beat Stanford. USC. Stanford beat USC. Stanford was number 16 in the nation. And they beat USC at home 37-35. That was a huge win. Their only loss that season, they lost 52-31 to Oregon. But they beat everybody else. They had a great, and they went to the bowl and they beat Virginia Tech 40-12, and they finished 12-1. Yeah. So I mean, so wherever Harbaugh has been, then he obviously he left. So from 20, let's see here, 2011, I guess it was, to 2015. So 11, 12, so to 14. I'm sorry, for 2011 to 2014. So for 4 years he was at San Francisco, right? And then he went to Michigan in 2015. And he was in Michigan for quite some time, from 2015 to last season. So he was at Michigan for a while. I mean, but in the 4 years, 2011, right? He was at the championship game. 2012, they went to the Super Bowl, and then 13 and 14. I think at like 14, I think he started losing the locker room or something like that, and then they're like, "Well, let's get rid of him." So, but wherever he's been. He said his final game at Stanford, his final season at Stanford, they finished 4th in the nation. He took the 49ers for 4 years. He took them to a championship game and then a Super Bowl. And then in Michigan, right, he had to win a national championship. Took him a while. It's obviously not an easy thing to do, especially when you got the SEC but I mean, Clemson was great for a while. Now you got Georgia. Alabama, they might be a thing in the past as far as winning a ton of championships, maybe because if Saban's not there anymore, but the SEC is going to be just phenomenal, right? Ohio State's always good, so I mean, that's not an easy thing to do. Michigan and win the championship. So, he's been a winner wherever he's been. So, but let me read this article real fast once again, and just guys to show you. As the Giants headed into the 2023 season, they thought they had nailed the general manager and head coaching positions with the hiring of Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll to a 5-year contracts. The Giants were coming off the 9-7-1 2022 regular season finish and a trip to the playoffs that included a win on the road, too. Schoen appeared to be fully in charge, and Daboll was the darling of the football world, being named NFL's Coach of the Year, which is true. But a lot has gone downhill since then. The Giants' juggernaut has dropped out of the sky and are in a death spiral. Yes. They are 8-23 since the start of the 2023 season and going nowhere fast. So basically, they win 1 out of every 4 games. So out of every 4 games, they're 1-3. They do not have a franchise quarterback of the future on their roster, and many are questioning the competence of the entire organization from the ownership on down. Paul Schwartz of the Post, who has been covering the team for over 30 years, believes that the Giants make changes this offseason. It may not be a clean sweep. They may decide to keep both Schoen and Daboll, or they may keep one and let the other one go. Veteran sports author and columnist Ian O'Connor looked back at the move to hire Schoen and Daboll and the other options the Giants had available to them with back then. The Giants loved Adam Peters as a GM candidate, but loved Joe Schoen just a bit more. O'Connor posted on X, they thought John Harbaugh's guy in Baltimore, Joe Hortiz was a bit nervous in his interview, but he was going to hire Jim Harbaugh as the Giants head coach. What could have been, but he was a bit nervous. That's why you get those interviews, right? That's why they also, you get those one-on-ones, before the draft, right? You get the quarterback sitting down, right? You get to put stuff up on the board. All right, so now the X is the Y is the X. Take the Z, take the cross, bring him over here. Now we're gonna. You got set it two high. You got one high. You got a cover over here. You got this guy over here. Now, what are you gonna do? The quarterback. What? Not too good. If the guy can handle it, just bang that stuff. Oh, well, it's easy. I'm gonna look over here. I'm gonna come this, but I'm gonna come back over here. But I'm gonna fire. Try to. If he goes over there, I'm gonna lead this guy over here. Yeah, that's what he wants. That's why you got those one-on-ones, right? That's why you got your interviews, right? The guy seems a little bit nervous. Maybe he's not quite the candidate. Maybe he's not ready. But Peters was with San Francisco at the time as general manager with John Lynch's assistant. He was hired this past offseason by Washington to be their GM. The Commanders are 9-5 this season and headed toward the playoffs. Hortiz was the Ravens' director of player personnel and is now the general manager of the Chargers and did indeed hire Jim Harbaugh as his head coach. Chargers are 8-6 this season and currently are in the 7th playoff spot in the AFC. And they have 3 winnable games. So there's a good chance that Harbaugh, in his first season as head coach, take a team from 5-12. They had the same quarterback. I don't remember what their games were like last year. I don't know what their injury situation was. That I don't know. They could have been totally decimated by injuries. But they had the same quarterback last year, and they're 5-12. Same quarterback this year, different coach, and they're going to go possibly to the playoffs, maybe 10-7. So it says, while these other teams are flourishing, the Giants are floundering. Yes, what could have been? Well, I mean, once again, it's always, hindsight's always 20/20, right? Let's see. Let's read a couple lines from this one. It says the Giants owner John Mara previously stated that he doesn't anticipate making any front office changes this offseason, but that was before the Giants fell to 2-12, tied for the NFL's worst record. Yet the Giants got here based on decisions they made long ago, such as hiring, then retaining Joe Schoen as the team's general manager and leading decision maker. According to the Giants insider Ian O'Connor, there were several GM candidates they liked during the hiring process before settling on Schoen. They reportedly loved Adam Peters, who is now acts as the Commanders' GM. However, the Giants also felt John Harbaugh's guy, Joe Hortiz, was a bit nervous in his interview, and they knew Hortiz wanted to hire Harbaugh. As much as the Giants liked Peters and Hortiz, they loved Joe Schoen just a bit more. And they say the rest is history. The Giants have stuck with Schoen in 3 seasons now, and Hortiz did get his chance to operate as GM of an NFL team. But it didn't come until the start of the 2024 season when the Chargers hired him. Hortiz did then hire Jim Harbaugh. Now the Chargers have emerged as one of the best teams in the AFC, and the Giants are one of the worst or the worst. I mean, you can obviously whatever you want to call it, right? They're the worst or one of the 2 worst. I mean, however you want to look at it. Between them, that's a toss-up. I mean, I got to give Carolina some. Give them some kudos. I mean, they're not an unbelievable team, but they started off really, really bad. I'll tell you what, got to give Carolina some credit. They're not doing too bad, right? And it looks like the Patriots, even maybe as bad as they are, it looks like they might have found their quarterback in the future. If the Bears can ever get their coaching situation solved, they might have their quarterback in the future. Then you talk about the Jets, or maybe not. They don't have their quarterback in the future, meaning long-term future, right? They don't have a coach, the GM. They got nothing. So But I mean, the Giants are easily in the bottom 2 or 3 of the league as far as we just, to be true, to be fair, we had our 5th different not different, but 5th quarterback going in there, right? Jones, DeVito, Locke, DeVito, Boyle, right? 4th different quarterback, 5 different quarterback, right? All the teams that I know of has had that out there. Certainly not the Chargers, right? Certainly, there's no team currently in the playoff picture that's had that. Nope. So all the injuries the Giants have had. So I mean that's hurt the Giants quite a bit as well too. We need to find ourselves our future quarterback of the future, right? And it all starts with that. We got to find ourselves a quarterback now. Whoever that is, that's Shane and Dable, or if that's Shane and not Dable, and somebody else comes in, or whatever. I don't know, but we got to find our quarterback. Then you just start working from there, right? But there's no denying, without question, that Harbaugh is wherever he goes, he's a winner. So look for him as long as he wants to continue to coach and all of that. He might have a down year here or there or whatever, but I'll look for him to have the Chargers as he's got the quarterback, right? So look for him to be a competing team. He likes to run the ball, right? That's why they drafted Alt in the 1st round. They could have took other guys. Could have took Neighbors, right? Guy's pretty good. Imagine Herbert to Neighbors. I'm sure Neighbors would love that. I'm sure Herbert would love that. I mean, Neighbors got 90 receptions with our quarterbacks. Are you kidding me? What he could have maybe done with Herbert, right? So, but what coulda, shoulda, woulda, whatever. But it is what it is, right? All right, then I want to do just my weekly thing here, where we go over the team grades after the Ravens ran roughshod over the New York Football Giants. I'm going to do the team grades, show how bad the Giants are, according to PFF, that is, anyway. Then you got, they'll do the offensive grades, the defensive grades, and the special teams. And then we'll bring this video in for a landing here, right? So let me share my screen here, and I'll go to, I'm going to find it here. What did I get? I got 72,000 tabs open up here. Gotta find it here. Oh, there we go. All right. Should be here. It shows you how horrible the Giants are. All right, so we'll start off here now. Right, we got the team grades here, right? So we'll go overall. The Lions are hanging on by a thread. Of course, they're number 1, according to PFF. That's all it says, right? The Eagles are coming up, right? 92.6, with the Lions 92.9. Somehow the Falcons, I don't know how this is. As horrible as their offense has been, this, that, they've been outscored. They're 7-7. They've been outscored by 49 points, and somehow their team grade overall is 89.9. I don't quite get that. I really don't. But the Giants are, I think it was 27 or 28, 28. Giants are 28. 68. Somehow PFF has us graded higher than 4. I mean, I can agree with the Raiders, but somehow we're ranked above 3 other teams as well too. So, but it is what it is. All right, then we got the offensive grades. The Ravens, yeah. After last Sunday's game, I won't argue with that. Right? The Ravens are 87.8. The Giants' offense, number 29. 64.6. Giants have been outscored by 120 points. The Giants have 208 points. Give up 328. Unbelievable. All right. Passing game here. Passing grade. The Bengals, Burrow is just, it's a shame. I mean, they're 6-8. I mean, with Higgins, Chase, Burrows, they've been staying healthy, right? Those guys, I mean, the yards and everything, the receptions and everything they're putting up, just their defense is just, look, right? 399, they scored 400 points, but they've given up almost 400 points. I mean, just trash. Even the Giants haven't given up anywhere near that many points. Their defense is just horrible, absolutely horrible. So what we got here? Let's see. Giants passing grade. We're 30th. 59.3. Pass blocking. Who's number one? The Broncos, 83.8. See, that also helps their quarterback, right? Good pass blocking efficiency. All right, the Giants. And another reason why, Tampa Bay, they're doing good. Pass blocking. Baker Mayfield having a decent year, right? 81.6. Good pass blocking. All right, the Giants. See, Giants pass blocking. 26th. 59.1. We were much higher, but as the season wore on, we're going lower and lower and lower. Receiving grade, the Lions, 86.3. All right, the Giants receiving grade, 31. Wow. 64.2. We're only better than the Panthers. Every other team's just once again, according to PFF. And this is what we got Malik Neighbors in there too, right? And we're still 31st, according to PFF. All right, next, running grade. Bum, 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 bum. Buffalo Bills, obviously 95% of that is Josh Allen, but let's see here. So the Bills, number one, 92.6. The Giants are 23rd, 75.6. I mean, we can't, I'm not quite sure. We're averaging past bunch of games, we're averaging like 3 yards a carry or whatever, but somehow our running game we're not in the bottom 2 or 3. Run blocking, the 49ers, 81.1. All right, the Giants here are 21st, 61.8. Run blocking. All right, then we go to the defense. Let me make this a little bit smaller. All right, so defense. Eagles, number one, 87.8. Giants defense here is number 19, 66.6. So we're number 19. Once again, obviously we have our secondary is decimated. We don't have any of our starting tackles in there. Bobby Okereke is not there, so it's tough to be a real good defense when half your defense, half your starters are not playing. Right? Run defense. The Browns are number one, 83. And the Giants run defense, 21st. Let's say 63.8. 21st run defense. And that was one of the things that you were kind of hoping, like when Bowen came in, his run defense with the Titans was always good. You kind of figured that would tighten up a little bit. But that really hasn't been the case. Right? Tackling. Patriots, number one, 73.8. Good tackling team. The Giants has been abysmal all year. Giants tackling. 38.7 tackling. I mean, look at these grades. The Dolphins, 29.9, 35.6, 35.9, 36, 30. You got you got 6 teams who were graded out in the 30s as far as tackling. I mean, it's trash, absolute freaking trash. It really is. It's just simply amazing. Pass rush. Now, the Giants have been good at this. Steelers number one, 90.6. The Giants are 8th, 73.6. Of course, we don't have Sexy Dexy in there. Azeez Ojulari ain't in there. Kayvon Thibodeau, he's been missing in action for the past, 2 months. Ever since he got injured. Maybe that has something to do with it, his injury. Because he's trying to come back. Maybe he's playing in pain. I don't know. But I'll tell you what, he's been missing in action. Let's see here. And a coverage grade, the Eagles, 91.1. Because they got everybody in their defense that is all nice and healthy for the most part. No, they don't have anything compared to what the Giants have. If the Eagles were banged up as the Giants were, the Eagles would not be number one. So the Eagles are good for them, but the Eagles are lucky. That's where the Eagles, everybody's lucky. Giants have bad luck. The Eagles have good luck. Everything's lining up really nicely for the Eagles this year. Let's see here. The Giants' coverage grade is the 26, 55.5. And our special teams usually is the Patriots. Yeah, Patriots, number one, 90.6. And the Giants are 22nd, 74.4. So, just not super spectacular. We were a lot worse last year in a lot of those categories. A lot worse. We were like in the bottom 2 or 3 of like 5 or 6 of those categories like last year. So we've elevated a little bit. So, but I mean, it is very difficult, obviously, to get a real good grasp. Not that we're supposed to be a phenomenal team or nothing like that, but with all these injuries, it's really difficult. And I haven't really kept a track so much of what some of those other teams are, is how banged up some of those other teams are and everything. I had a subscription to maingameslost.com. It was 2 years ago, I think it was. And I haven't had it for the past this year and last year. I didn't have, but I had it. I think it was 2 years ago. maingameslost.com. And I know that 1 year the Giants were just totally a lot of injuries, really decimated by injuries. So it really goes to show you, I think it was Vrabel's last year. I think the Titans led the league in man games lost, and Vrabel's team stunk. And his whole team was just totally decimated by injuries, right? And, of course, once again, that was the year the Eagles went to the Super Bowl. The Eagles, I think, by far missed the fewest games. Once again, they got lucky. Good for them. They got lucky. I had nobody injured, right, which helps you go to the Super Bowl. If they were as injured as the Giants are, right, they wouldn't be going to the Super Bowl. But as I said, I remember a couple of years ago when the Giants were just totally decimated by injuries. It just unbelievable. It really is. I said nothing will kill your season faster than injuries. All right, so we go from the team grades according to PFF to the offensive grades according to PFF after the Ravens ran roughshod over the New York Football Giants there. So let's see what the let's see how PFF what they had here for the Giants here. Let me pop the screen back up here. Let's share this once again. All right, so let's go here. Whoop. Here we go. Go to the game reports. Here we go. Let's go to the offense. There we go. All right, now Malik Neighbors leading the way. 71.8. Very, very good. Luminor, very good to have him back there. Very, very, very good. You don't realize how much you miss somebody until they're not there, right? Well, Jermaine Illuminor graded out of 70.2. Evan Neal, right? Right? 64.9. 59 with his pass block grade. His run block at 77. So those were our 2 tackles. Those were there were 2 of the 3 highest, right? And somehow even John Michael Schmitz was in there, right? All 68 snaps. He graded 62.6. Once again, his pass blocking is always a little, same thing here with Evan Neal. Usually his run blocking is better than his pass blocking. But it was nice to see. I mean, this is kind of rare for the Giants, right? Obviously, 3 of our first 4 guys. Actually, we want to put Kubas in. Well, Kubas always in it for 1 snap. But 3 of our top 4 guys are offensive linemen. And it doesn't make much sense, right? Because we only had a couple hundred yards. We scored 2 touchdowns. It wasn't like we were walking up and down the field, right? That's what the Ravens were doing, but it is what it is. Daniel Bellinger had himself a very nice game. I think he had 3 or 4 receptions. So he's doing a decent job in the absence of Theo Johnson. Daniel Bellinger graded out of 62.4. Then you had Kubas in there, 1 snap. Zudo in there for 2 snaps. That was probably maybe the jumbo package. Maybe those guys were in there. Eric Ray was in there for 3 snaps. 59.5. Devin Singletary was in there for 23 snaps. 59.4. Wandale Robinson was in there for 52 snaps and created out 55.5. So now you got a bunch of lower end grades. Once you're into the 50s and the 40s and the 30s and all, that's not super spectacular. Seems like the Mendoza line is like right at 60, right? Anything above 60 is okay. Anything below 60, once you get into the 50s and the 40s, that's not super spectacular. But so Wandale Robinson was a 55.5. Emir Smith Marset was 55.4. Tommy Chicken Cutlet Parmesan was in there for 32 snaps. 55.4. Darius Slayton, 46 snaps, 55.1. Tim Boyle obviously took over for the other, right? Because you had a grand total of 68 snaps because Michael Schmitz was in there for 68 snaps. So Tommy DeVito was in there for 32. Tim Boyle was in there for 36. So 36 and 32 was 68. So basically they almost played the same amount of snaps, right? I think Boyle came in for the final snap of the first half, and then he played the whole rest of the second half. So Boyle came in there 53.9. I mean, all things considering, you got to give the guy. I got to give him some credit. He never threw passes, live bullets, right? Or not live, but he never threw passes in practice to the starters. Never threw a pass to like Wanda, Slayton, maybe Hyatt, but never threw a pass in practice to neighbors. Just going on the field, his first, snaps for the Giants and all of that. And he was, 12 out of 24, 100 and something yards and a touchdown. He had an interception as well, too. So, all in all, it could have been worse. Certainly could have been worse for our 4th string quarterback. Certainly could have been worse. So you got to give, I got to give Boyle some credit there. Tyrone Tracy was in there for 46 snaps, 53.4. Aaron Stinney, left guard. So our guards were a little on the weak side here. Stinney with left guard, 50.5. Greg Van Roten was in there for 68 snaps, 48.3. See, the one thing also here you'll notice here is that you see the 50 here and the 18. Say, right, 50 and 18. I mean, this is something you don't know. Right? Pass blocking snaps. The same thing here. 50. Run blocking, 18. I mean, 18, 30, we threw the ball almost 3 times as much as we ran the ball. I mean, we ran the ball 18 times. I mean, but that just goes to show you, right? We couldn't establish a run, but also we couldn't even, establish a lead. But you start falling behind. What do you got to do? You got to start throwing the ball. So, I mean, this is ridiculous. You just can't. Threw the ball 50 times. Ran it 18. I mean, that's just ridiculous. Absolutely freaking ridiculous. This just smells loss right here. When you have to throw the ball 50 times and you only ran it 18. All right, so we got Van Roten, 48.3. Jalen Hyatt, 20 snaps, 46.9. And we got some tight ends here, right? Chris Manhertz was in there for 27 snaps, 46.2. And Greg Dulcich was in there for 7 snaps, 43.5. I think Dulcich also had think it was, if I'm not mistaken, on special teams. I think he had a penalty on special teams, which is, it was just an absolute total mess. Absolute total. I mean, it was everything. I mean, the offense ran the ball 18 times, had to throw it 50, couldn't gain a first down, a fourth down, and like whatever it was, 18 inches. Couldn't. I mean, it's just the defense. I mean, of course, the secondary was just total. I mean, missed what? Phillips, Flott, Banks, and Newman. I mean, it's like, so we had almost all backups in there, and we got torched for 5 touchdown passes. I mean, the special teams was just dreadful, just dreadful. It was almost like opening kickoff, right? I feel, was it 59 yards? The guy ran the ball back. It was just like, at least he didn't run it back for a touchdown, but it was just. And I think Gano was on the side there trying to knock the guy out of bounds, and I think he got knocked out of bounds as Gano or something. It was just like almost smelled like, you can almost see Gano popping up with a hamstring problem or something like that. But thankfully that didn't happen. But I mean, it was just, running the ball back on the opening kickoff for about 60 yards. Thankfully they didn't score in that drive, right? Dory Jackson, right? But they got down to like the 12-yard line or so, or else they would have scored. But just absolutely, just unbelievable. Once again, just an unbelievable season. Unbelievable season. All right, so now let's go over Mr. Burnsy here, right? Let's go over the defensive grades. After the Ravens ran roughshod over the New York Football Giants. Let's see what we have here. Good old Burnsy. I tell you what, I got to give him a lot of credit. Maybe not everybody will, but guy's been banged up. I mean, even in preseason or whatever, the guy's been just nothing but banged up. Always had a issue, groin, this or that. Always had something. Always going in there, toughening out. Always, right? Is always seeming to have a positive attitude and all that and everything. Just playing week in and week out. He has 8 sacks. But I said, he's a bunch of injuries, and whatever we're paying, 28, 29 million, whatever it is. I mean, it'll always be, right? Well, you could have McKinney and Saquon, right? You have those two. McKinney leads the league in interceptions. Saquon leads the league, and I think he's going to rush for 37,000 yards this year, right? You got Brian Burns. It's always, a lot of times you always hear people talking about that or whatever, but those guys were not in the future, right? An edge rusher is more important, right? You don't need, of course, Saquon might wind up winning a Super Bowl this year, but you don't need a $15 million running back to win a Super Bowl. You don't. Go back, look at all the winning. Of course, they had really good quarterbacks, though. Go look back at all the running backs for however long, 10, 15, whatever. You don't need a super duper running back, right? And Shane, he put values, right, on the players, the positions, and all that, and to go out and according to him, dishing out $17 million for a safety he did not want to do that. So it is what it is. But good old Burnsy, hopefully maybe because quite possibly we may not wind up bringing back Azeez Ojulari after this season's over with, unfortunately. But hopefully Kayvon, I don't whatever. Once again, I don't know if he's banged up. That's why he's not playing super duper spectacular or whatever. But Barnsley's done a good job for us. All right, so speaking of Dory Jackson and the fumble he caused, right? He leads the way. He was in there for 45 snaps, 87.3. And Elijah Chapman, huh? And look at Jordan Riley, Elijah Chapman, right? Up there. So Elijah Chapman was in there for 47 snaps. 68.6. And then Dane Belton, he was in there. We might have lost Newman, but Belton picked up for him, right? Unfortunately, Belton was also on the field when we got torched all those times for the touchdowns, but it is what it is. So Dane Belton, 59 snaps, 63.4. It also goes to show you, we had more plays, right? Where we had, 50 pass plays, 18, we had 68 plays. It looks like, I guess, just according to this, it looks like the Ravens had 59 plays, but I think we had the ball longer and we ran more plays. But, of course, it doesn't do you any good when the Ravens are much more efficient. They're just deadly with the ball, right? I said Jordan Riley was in there for 35 snaps, 61.2. Patrick Johnson just in there for 2 snaps, 60.3. Darius Muasau, right, 59 snaps. You notice we didn't have a big variety of guys in there. We kept pretty much the same guys in there all game long. So Muasau, 59 total snaps, 59.1. Corey Durden, nose tackle, 17 snaps, 57.4. Tolman Fox was in there for 27 snaps, 51. Greg Stroman Jr. was in there for 54 snaps, 50.8. So you'll notice here some of these coverage grades here, right? 42 with 27, 27, right? Not very good. Not very good at all. Elijah Garcia, 22 snaps, 49.4. Casey Rogers was in there for 12 snaps, 47.8. Bernsey was in there for 37 snaps, 44.1. But you'll notice he had 5 pressures. He had a sack. He had 4 hurries, right? His tackle wasn't good. Apparently he missed a couple tackles. Now, that could have been on Lamar Jackson. Who knows, right? But once again, the Giants, absolutely horrible. According to PFF, it's all going by her. 14 missed tackles. Absolutely horrible. That's horrible. 5, 6, 7 or so, that's acceptable. 14, that's horrible. Absolutely horrible. The Giants tackling all season long has been absolute atrocious. Micah McFadden was in there for 59 snaps, 43.4. Art Green was in there for 32 snaps at cornerback, 39.1. Kayvon was in there 52 snaps, 34.2. I'm not sure where these 2 pressures came from. He had 2 hurries. I don't know. Maybe he got them right at the end, but apparently this one assisted tackle he had, the only tackle he had, one assisted tackle came with 11 minutes to go in the game. It's like, I said, I don't know if he's that banged up or what. I don't know. But, boy, he was MIA. Let me tell you what. MIA. He played so much better 2 years ago. Remember when we knocked the ball out, right? At the end of Lamar's hand, and we recovered the fumble and all that. Remember that, right? Played so much better 2 years ago. I don't know. He had a good year last year. Not so good this year. Now, I don't know if it was the defensive coordinators got changed. That had something to do with it. Who knows? Let's see. Isaiah Simmons was in there for 31 snaps, 27.3. And Jason Pinnock, 59 snaps, graded out 26.9 overall. So you notice, obviously some guys had some good grades, but you also notice that, some the secondary, a lot of the coverage grades and all were just not good. It goes to show you. The Giants need, their starters, their regular starters don't do too bad. But when you start putting, if you put one backup in there, okay. But you notice, I said, Phillips, no Flott, no Newman, no it's just, the whole secondary is pretty MIA. What we really could use also, there's a bunch of things obviously we could use, but also this off season, if we can get easier said than done, we get ourselves another good cornerback. That would really be huge because I'm not sure. I have to see what Banks Not sure if he's a cornerback number one going forward or not. Flott's had a very good year, but he always seems, once again, he's injured. He's just so thin, frail. He has had a good season, but just injury prone. Really, really injury prone. And once again, so, I mean, but then again, Giants need a lot. It seems like I'm a broken record every year saying the same thing. Giants need a lot. All right, so finally, let's go over the last portion of our program here, which is, as soon as I can find it. All right, here we go. All right. The special teams grades after the Ravens ran roughshod over the New York Football Giants. Now, obviously, as always with the special teams, right, you have always have a plethora of players in there. There's a ton of players. And a lot of them usually wind up grading out around 60, but it is what it is. So let me once again pop this up here, and we'll bang this out here, and we'll bring this video in for landing. All right, defense. Let's see, defense, special teams. Here we go. All right, so as you see here, right, you got how many? What do we got here? 32 players. Different players played on special teams, and you'll notice a lot of them around 60. Usually that seems like, right? I mean, how many guys we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 guys graded out of 60. But Dane Belton led the way, right? He was on 8 special team snaps, graded out of 72.2. Daniel Bellinger was in there for 11, graded out of 70. Darius Mursal, right, 14 snaps. So he got a lot of playing time. I'm gonna tell you what 58 snaps or 59 snaps on defense and 14 on special teams. He had a busy day. He was a tired dude, and he played pretty well on special teams. So this is pretty much he's going to be a backup inside linebacker for us, right? He gets tackles. May not always grade out the greatest, but he's depth for us. But he's also on special teams too. So, I mean, all in all, for a 6th-round pick, not too bad. Anthony Johnson Jr., 11 total snaps, rated at 62.3. Bryce Ford Wheaton, 19 snaps, 61.7. Toman Fox, 16 snaps, rated at 61.4. Then you had all these guys here. I mean, all the guys with the 60s. Patrick Johnson, Aaron Steney, Kubas, Van Roten, Eric Gray, Dulcich, Zudu, the Hammer, Scottish Hammer, Jermaine Illuminor, Hubbard was in there, right? Gano. All those guys graded out of 60. And you had Smith Marset, graded at 59. You have a bunch of guys here graded at 59. What do you got? Smith Marset, D. Williams, Pinnock, Elijah Chapman, Chris Manhertz, Corey Durden, Casey Rogers, all graded out of 59. Jordan Riley was in there for 5 snaps, graded out of 58.8. Art Green was in there for 19 snaps, 56.2. Casey Kreider, 5 long snaps, right, 52.9. Ty Summers, 17 snaps, 51.3. Matthew Adams was in there for 19 snaps, 49.5. Isaiah Simmons, 5 snaps, graded out of 45.6. Devad Wilson, 5, 44.7. And Raheem Lane was in there for 5 special team snaps. He graded out of 29.8. I mean, some of these guys, it's like, it's like, as it gets later on in the season and they're adding guys on special team, putting guys on IR, dropping guys, bringing guys. It's like some of these guys I'm looking at, especially, I'm like, who? It's like, but I mean, it's just the way it goes. I mean, it's unbelievable. Really, really is. Especially when your team's that banged up. You got guys coming and going. I mean, you drop somebody off the practice squad, right? You bring somebody else in, then the guy you just dropped off the practice squad 2 days ago, you bring him back on the practice. Remember Jakob Jakob Johnson? I mean, he's been all on and off the practice squad. I mean, yeah, I mean, that's the life of a guy in a practice squad. I mean, yeah, one day you're on it, one day you're off, one day you're on. Yeah, it is what it is. But just goes to show you really how many guys it takes to play on the practice, not the practice, special teams. But a lot of guys on special teams. Almost every week is like over 30 guys every week on special teams. But just because, I mean, Giants did not fare too well. And we had a couple guys who graded out pretty well. But as per usual, this whole season, we get a few special guys every week to grade out well. But for the most part, it's a very mixed bag. So, all right, guys, been 1 hour and 25, almost 26 minutes. Whoever spent any time listening to me live, thank you. Or if anybody's going to spend any time watching a replay of this, once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It means the world to me. Thank you. As always, you guys stay safe out there and go Giants. Woo! Oh, yeah.